Welcome back to AgriTalk here at the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky, broadcasting from the Syngenta booth today. Joining us as he does each week, but not always do we get to talk to him in person, except when we're out on the road. That's DTN Meteorologist Bryce Anderson. Good to see you, sir. The mood here, like we've seen at most farm meetings this winter, very upbeat, very positive, looking ahead to spring planting time for a lot of farmers, and prices, being what they are, that has people upbeat. But there are some weather concerns out there. There are still some dry areas.
There really are, Mike, and one of the most prominent ones is the northwestern half of the Corn Belt, from basically, let's say, Ames, Iowa north to Mason City, and then across all of Minnesota and northwest through the eastern Dakotas and clear up into the Canadian prairies. And it's this part of the country, I think, that is sort of on the edge of possibly having a real problem here this year.
I know even in west central Illinois, farmers tell me you don't have to dig down very far to find dry dirt. I mean, there's concern about subsoil moisture. And
there is, and that part of the country was an area that got hit real hard with that flash drought mid to late summer of last year. So the moisture that's happened, that's occurred, really has helped out, but it certainly hasn't just, really completely recharged the soil profile.
So what are the prospects of these dry areas getting recharged before farmers go to the fields this spring?
I think we have a pretty high potential of being in a have and have not deal, Mike, and that is from the Mississippi River on east. I think the outlook is pretty good. We already have quite a bit of Indiana and Ohio and southern Illinois and here into Kentucky that have pretty decent soil moisture supplies. I think that's going to continue, but in that area from central Iowa on north and west, I think it's going to be a little bit of a problem, and I've got to focus in terms of a comparison year, 1976. 76 was a year when the U.S. corn yield was about 4% below trend, and it was even farther below that in the western Corn Belt. That was a year when Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio had very good crops. Kentucky did as well, but Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska did not. And I think that there is a chance that we could be heading into that type of a situation this year.
Makes for a nervous growing season because you're more than most years, you always are to a certain degree, but even more than most years, you're counting on those timely rains just to get you by. You don't have that reserve to count on.
No, you don't, and that's where from eastern Iowa on, I think there's going to be soil moisture that brings the crop up. But I tell you, in again that northwestern part of the belt, there was a lot of deep ripping that was done because some of those areas have been very wet for a number of years. And now you've had a very mild winter that has kind of baked some of that lower soil to the point that you've got some real big clumps out there that are going to take a lot of work and a lot of moisture to be able to break down.
It really has been a mild winter for a lot of folks. What about that Texas, Oklahoma, western Kansas area that's been so dry?
That's going to be a real variable trend this year, because from about Interstate 35 on east and maybe just about 50 miles west, things are looking better. In fact, there's part of north central Texas, the area called the Cross Timbers Crop District, northwest of Dallas, between Dallas and Wichita Falls, that is out of drought right now, and that's good news there. But the Texas Panhandle north into western Kansas, Mike, you're still looking at moderate to extreme drought. And that area is going to, I think, be very slow to improve as we go through this year.
So these markets are probably going to stay nervous, as will farmers throughout this year.
I think they will, and we've seen a response in the Texas Panhandle as far as acreage is concerned. That's one area where cotton acreage is probably going to stay level with the acreage last year. I know that folks would like to go to corn more, but they just can't because of water considerations and a short supply.
It'll be interesting to see how those acres play out. All right, Bryce, tomorrow we'll talk and we'll see what your thoughts are on what's going on in South America, where they've had some challenges weather-wise.
They really have, Mike, and I don't think we've seen the last of some dialing back in production there, and looking forward to that discussion.
Very good. DTN Meteorologist Bryce Anderson joining us here at the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky. Stay with us. More coming up. It's halftime on AgriTalk.